We'll make sure we tell them. Be like, it's already done.
I know. Okay, are we streaming this? Are we good to go?
See what it looks like. Yep. Yep, they see it.
But
Can they hear me yet?
can you hear Jody? That's the important thing. Jody's the funny one.
Can they hear Tyson yet? Can they hear anybody?
Well, hey everybody, welcome. Assuming that we can be heard yet. Um, Thanks for joining us today. Today it's Jody and I. So sans Aaron, sans our new old friend Matt. But Jody and I are going to try and keep things rolling. What do you say, Mr. Gates?
I think it's going to be weird and uncomfortable, but I'm ready for it.
That's fair. That's probably accurate, too.
Oh, good. Okay. Ashley hears us both, and somebody said I was quiet. Colin said I was quiet. I'll be quiet. I'll be louder. I'll project. Speak
I'll
from the diaphragm.
mic you up a little. We'll see. So, again, thanks everybody for joining us. Do you know, Jody? Do you know what if we're doing Friday? What Aaron's doing Friday or next week? I don't.
He's doing something. He's doing something on Friday, but I'm not sure what.
Or is that our Q&A?
What his? Oh yeah. That's right. That's gonna be the plan. Is Q&A because he's got other stuff and he's too lazy to figure out a model to do or something.
I relate to that so much. So today, we were just having this discussion because neither of us are experts. We don't know enough. But happy May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Today, as sort of a shout out to Cinco de Mayo, we are doing a building from Mexico City, and as best we understand, this is a holiday that is mildly celebrated in some places in Mexico, maybe celebrated more in the States than in Mexico. Depends, which Wikipedia article you read. There's probably only one.
Here in the U.S., we like to take things that are other people's holidays and make them bigger. It's an excuse to not have to work. Actually, you still have to work on Cinco de Mayo and St. Patrick's Day, the other one that is notorious for this. But we get to eat we already eat a lot of Mexican food too. I don't know. I feel like this is just it's just another day to celebrate.
I would be thrilled to go pick up some street tacos, come back and just chat with everybody.
Perfect.
I would be so much more comfortable doing that.
We just sit around, grease dripping off our chins.
Yeah. Because here's the other thing about this building. I found some of the references that a few folks posted in the forums. They're not necessarily of this building, and there's not a lot that I was able to find of just straight up elevations, plans that kind of give a good idea of what's going on. So we're going to be riffing a lot, and I am only semi-comfortable with that. But this is the building.
I think you can do it.
Oh, thank you for that vote of confidence. We're going to try. No promises. It's a really tough audience, though, I hear. It's a really tough audience. So with that said, here's what we're going to do. This is the model that is in the 3D warehouse that comes from Google Earth. And it's going to be our basis reference. Now, I'm going to try this. You tell me how badly this works, Jody. There is a model or a really a really big LiDAR scan that is made available from SciArc. And
how many gigabytes was that really big again?
so if we look at this, can you see this okay?
Looks pretty. I can see it.
I
I
don't
don't know
know
about
if
everybody
like,
else. Yeah, it's tiny for everybody.
yeah. Sorry. Oh, of course, I'm tiny. Sorry. That doesn't help. The point being, this laser scan was over 200 gigabytes in size. It took me about 2 hours to import it, and but it came in and it runs once it's in SketchUp. So kind of a shout out, not promoting, and we unfortunately didn't get it loaded in time to use it, but kind of a shout out to the Scan Essentials plugin for being able to ingest just a massive laser file, laser scan, and still be able to use it. We're gonna work with this one and see what we can do. And with that said, I'm probably gonna just ditch even the image file here, and we're just gonna work off of this reference, which is in Sketchfab, and see what kind of trouble we can get into.
All right. So why do you have two models to start off with? Are you going to be using that model? What's going on?
So one of the things that I'm a little worried about with this model, because of how it's created, the placement of objects on this model is I'm not saying I'm going to get it better. It's just it's mismatched, right? It's a texture thrown on there. I want to start with just kind of the geometry as a reference for size, and then we'll build out a new model, I think, is what we're going to do. So I'm actually going to group this, copy it, and start a new file.
Okay, so we will come back to this. Look at that. There's your, is that for your Glowforge?
It is.
Nice. After this is done, you can laser cut a new Palacio. So AM pointed out that there's no such word as Palacia. It is Palacio, and we seem to be calling it Palacia everywhere. So
I am only
just
going
FYI.
off of that's good to know. I'm only going off of some things that I've found, so that's great. Please correct us as we go.
We like to be corrected, right?
Yeah. All right, where are we going to start here? So first of all, I think let's cut this in half because it may not be exactly symmetrical, but we're going to treat it like it is and model half of it. So let's start with that. I think if I should model it in half or just, all right. So, who, anyone out there actually has been to this building, has seen this building, has any insights into visiting it, seeing it inside? It's a museum and cultural center, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, nobody's chimed in as being from Mexico yet, although AM is correcting us, so it's possible they are there. Where's it? What city is it in?
It's in Mexico City, I believe.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Location: Mexico City, Mexico City. It took 30 years to build that thing. So they started construction in 1904 and inaugurated it in 1934. Okay, Carlos on Facebook has been there.
Nice.
It looks beautiful. It looks like you're gonna completely miss the beautifulest stuff with all of the statues that I see on the Google here.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Like the amount of detail in here is insanely awesome. Okay, let's see. At this point, I'm kind of going back and forth as to whether I should just use this as a reference and start anew, or just start building off of this. I'm not. I think we'll start anew.
Okay, so it looks like Martin and Carlos and AM have all been, and have said it is gorgeous, especially inside, which we're not even going to get to see here today. I don't know. It looks spectacular. It looks like a reason to go to Mexico City, really.
Yeah, it does. That's amazing.
I'm curious, like the kind of that orange to yellow gradient. I wonder if that's just paint, or like part of me wants to think it's stained glass, but it's probably not.
And then you can find some photos of like closer versions of that. Did I grab any in my? I don't think so. Yeah, but like how they created that gradient is pretty interesting. It'd be interesting to know more about. I am so tempted to just be like, "That's it. It's amazing. Thanks, everybody."
Thank you very much, everybody. And then just talk about whatever.
I,
So does that mean, does it seem like that's the way to do it? Is you basically create your mass, and then are you going to try and add any of the finer details?
well, right, like that's an interesting question. So when we look at this and say, should we create kind of the massing of it and then use details, follow me, and some other things on the outside of that mass, add some columns? I think that's how we'll approach this. Given again, sort of like our 2 hour ish time constraint of what we can accomplish. So let's try something like that.
So how much of this did you try modeling in advance? Be honest here.
No, I typically do, and I didn't get any of this done for this one. I had really hoped, foolishly, that I would find some better references than I did. So yeah, I'm not coming in very well prepped on this one.
Noted.
How foolish.
I mean, maybe a little early, but we can always start talking about all the shows we've been watching or anything.
Well, did you watch what?
I didn't watch anything.
Did you what? You didn't watch the what is it called, the Dirty Bunch or something, the new Star Wars one?
Oh no, I didn't watch what the heck is it called? The Lunch Bunch?
Yeah.
Bad Batch.
The Dirty Bunch. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna take some heat for that.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm like mixing up Dirty Dozen and the something else and the.
Just bring them all together.
Just
so you are doing this, right? You're relying on symmetry, and you're just going to do half of the building. Is that what you're doing there?
That's correct.
That's Tyson's suggestion. You're already already there. The tricky part, it looks like when you get kind of a 2.5D view of this, like the kind of the swoopiness of the roof, those kind of curvy roofs
Right?
beside
Like
the main center dome.
there's yeah, that's gonna be fun. The dome, which is I have some thoughts on how we can try that. We'll see if they work. Overall, I think I'm just gonna jump in and start doing stuff, and it won't be accurate because we just don't have as good a reference, and that's kind of what bugs me
Yeah,
when
I
doing
don't know if
this. Is
anybody. And Andy posted several pictures, but I'm not seeing. I have not been able to find anything that really has like dimensions. I don't know how tall. Got nothing to use as a point of scale. I
yeah,
can tell you how it's positioned relative to north. Hey,
that's something.
that is something. So yeah, if anybody here is an expert on this building, has has dimensions, let us know.
Well, and hopefully, because we grabbed this from the Google Earth model, like the rough dimensions, like if we look at this, 104 feet, and the original one that you bring in, if we look at some of the people, or just scale this, let's just say 1.8 meters, so I suspect that we're getting the rough scale correct. But yeah, like this would be so much better if we had some elevations to work from. Oh well. So let's say like that. I don't know.
Okay,
But anyway, in any case, you did not watch The
I
Bad
did not
Bunch
watch the
yet.
Bad Batch.
Bad
Nope,
Batch.
the dirty batch.
The dirty. Well, I don't want to rub
What?
it in, but I watched it with my son Cage, and he was crazy. He was more excited than I was, and that makes it way fun. And I say I don't want to rub it
So
in because poor Jody, his kids are not so into Star Wars. Is
yeah,
that
so
right?
that begs the question of I don't necessarily. I think there's a handful of people that might appreciate some of the Cinco de Mayo stuff, but probably there's more people that are Star Wars fans, and probably that's what you should have modeled was the I don't know, all of Coruscant or something like that. Just the city planet.
Shoulda.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'm not doing anything, Sebastian, for my kids getting them to like Star Wars. It's a lost cause. I've given up hope. If only there was an Obi-Wan Kenobi in real life, then he may be my only hope, but he is not. He is not a real boy, and I failed as a father.
Except no, because I can't get my other two interested. I only
Yeah.
have one. I'm a third successful. So that's mostly a failure, my friend. Mostly a failure. I am so lost at trying to translate this image over. This was such a terrible idea. Oh my goodness.
So there is you'd have to get a little more entertaining with your modeling because I've been called out that just doing a profile extrusion is kind of boring.
Um, I that is so true. I don't know what to say to that. Um, I don't know, Joe. Do you have anything to say to that?
Sorry, I'm responding about everybody's giving me grief for the lack of Star Wars
Good.
in my life. Because I don't know if I've told you this as well, but Amy has really only watched A New Hope. She's only watched episode 4. She could really do nothing, has no information really about any of the. I mean, well, it's not even, we can't even talk about prequels or whatever we call the last 3 postquels. Uh, yeah, she literally watched the Desert Planet version, and that was that. What is this? Okay. So Tyson, that same looks like that same picture was. I'm sorry, Tyson. There's a Tyson on Facebook that also just posted a picture, but it looked like the same picture that Andy posted in the forum, and it didn't. I don't see dimensions on that pictures. The problem.
No, I think you're referring to this.
Yeah, that's the closest thing to. But
I don't see. I
I
don't
mean,
think it's the same building. I think this is a similarly named building in Spain. Like if you look at
uh,
this and the model,
yeah, yeah, it doesn't line
it's
up.
not the same one.
Actually, yeah, it's definitely not because you can even see like the all the plants and stuff. The greenery. What am I trying to say? The entourage in front of the building is completely different.
Yeah, look
The
at like
layout.
the profile of how this is largely rectangular and this one is like has this big sweeping inset and then like kind of 3 large forms. Um, and even this, I found another one um, that at least is, but this doesn't match the current landscape. So again,
Yeah,
the references were just not really there,
that's kind of bonkers because I mean
isn't it
it
though?
is a yeah. I mean it's a heck of a building. I feel like the fact that I have not ever heard of this building in reference from anything else is kind of amazing because this is really spectacular. I said it earlier. Is this would give Michelangelo a run for his money, in my opinion.
Yeah. um, I similarly just sort of again made the mistake of assuming I would be able to find more on this because it is really cool and supposed to be really well known, um, and I was wrong.
So yeah, so Andy realized after the fact as he was trying to model it. So now my question is, Andy, how far did you get in your modeling attempts to do this? Because Andy's usually really good about throwing up models and getting something, producing something before we even start. He might have done more homework than you.
that that's not hard to do.
Yeah. Let's see. Johnny, let me put something up on the something. Oh, so that you can. I mean, you can start to intuit some size dimensions by people, but it still didn't have numbers on it. But it's a nice 2D representation, nice 2D profile view of the building up on the forum now.
Um, Let me throw this in here.
To
So let's. One thing I was going to try, we'll see how well this works, is again this dome and these side pieces. If you know, you could model them, and it would take more time to do it accurately. So I was just going to try and hack it, make it a sphere, and then scale it and see how well that worked, and do something similar for this. That was my thought on trying to make that work. What do we got?
I kind of love that you're able to use a Sketchfab model to like kind of rotate around to get an idea to remodel it in 3D, which is weird, I guess. Hey, Tricky2K says he's actually from Mexico City. Maybe he could run out and get some dimensions.
Yeah, quick. Get on site.
We did have, back when we were doing the Tower Bridge in London, there was somebody that literally could just look out his window, and I mean, it was nighttime there, so it didn't work as well, but he could literally look out his window at the model, or I mean, at the real building.
That's awesome.
Similarly, when we did the Taj Mahal, someone was close, but it was like 2 a.m. there, so forget about it. That's kind of cool, actually, that we've got people so close to so many of these buildings as we're doing them.
It is really cool.
Okay, I got to check this out. So Andy was working with, he had the wrong building up. He was trying to build, yeah, that's awesome. So he took the building, or he took the picture that was kind of the map, the one that we've decided is now not the right building. Yeah. And he started pulling everything up to extrusions. So it's now posted on, he spent about an hour working on this, only to finally realize that ain't the same building. Whoops.
You have my sympathy, my friend, because that was one of the first images I grabbed, and I thought, okay, good, we're off to a good start. And yeah, like you say, it's sort of, oops.
Okay, so I'm just gonna give you a chance to rant or rave or whatever you're wanting to do. Sebastian said, have either of you had any experience with point cloud data and SketchUp? I guess that's what you opened with, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So, the thing about the point cloud data is with the new Scan Essentials plugin, which is part of SketchUp Studio, which we launched just recently. The downside right away is that it's a Windows only tool right now, and don't ask, well, when is it going to be available on Mac, because we don't even have a Mac developer for it.
We'll turn this car right around if you start asking questions like that.
We will turn this right around. No, I'm on a Mac, Joe. We want it on a Mac, but there's no timeline on that. So it's not that we're withholding, we don't know. That said, if you're on Windows, which most of our users are, it's awesome. It imports scan data. And if you're, I was saying at the beginning of this, I had a really, really large file. It was over 200 gig large of this building. It took, maybe this is because I was working off an external drive, it took somewhere between an hour and 2 just to ingest it. But once it was in SketchUp, it was working marvelously. It's really cool. And so then you can reference it. It brings it in as a reference file. It's so cool. Like I know some of you out there will be like, hey, there's not like big new features in SketchUp that often, and that's kind of a bummer. And we, sometimes feel the same, but this one feels like a big feature. So I'm kind of bummed that it's not available more broadly, but it is really cool for those of you who use scan data. It's so cool. So that's not my rant, Jody. I actually really love it. I just wish it was more widely available.
Well, no, the rant was, and I guess, so here's my rant is whenever I work with it, it's not anybody's fault other than the fact that point cloud data is usually huge, as you pointed out. The point cloud data it was point cloud data you used that you rendered this building in on your PC, right?
Correct.
and that was a 200 gigabyte data set, and it took almost 3 hours to render.
Yeah,
Was that, and that was using Skin Essentials for that?
correct.
Okay. Ooh. Uh, Johnny said he's got some dimensions. He posted them on the forum. He's also got a couple of good new cutaways. So it's basically 116 meters long, under 96 meters wide, and 52 meters tall. Oh,
Um,
Tyson put a really, really good image up, but it's just so tiny.
I honestly, I think everybody is so we have such a great community, and everybody out there is so nice. I never know what to do when people are like, "Hey, we threw this on the forums," and it's like, "Okay, everybody, hold on while we just go run, run all over the place." I don't know. Being live is it's a thing, right? Like, how do we?
So we have a guest visitor in the YouTube chat too. Aaron Making Stuff came in and is not so silently judging you. Actually, he wasn't judging you, or if he's judging you, then it is silent. But he's not silent in making his presence known.
Help. uh, it, um, let me tell you. We all know, most of us who've been around a while. I'm not saying it would have gone better. In fact, I fear. But when Aaron and I were talking about what to model this week, and we hadn't realized it was May 5th yet. Of course, he was doing something about May 4th, Star Wars, which was awesome, by the way. That was a very cool hanger. Some cool stuff going on there. And but I had been working to try and figure out, could we actually model the Sydney Opera House, right? It always is requested, and could we make it work? And like this one, it depends entirely on finding the right references, because if you find the right reference, then you can figure out how to build the shells. But there's so many pictures of it, and there's so many illustrations of how the shells work and how they're based on a sphere. But those pictures and images are typically like, hey, here's a picture of a sphere with them on it, so that it's in perspective, and trying to figure out a spherical shape in perspective just doesn't work. And then I finally found an image that that was going to work. So I say that just to say we might actually tackle the Sydney Opera House at some point in the future. But fair warning, it might go even worse than this one's going. Because that one will be that will be fun.
So you think in 2 weeks, the next time you're doing one, or are we going to try and make Aaron do it?
Oh man, we should make Aaron.
I don't think we'll ever get Aaron to do it.
No, it not in 2 weeks. I don't know how much we still like. There's a schedule, and I don't know what it is. I just do what I'm told. And this time it was buildings, right?
Yeah. I don't even know how much Aaron is like sticking to that whole theme thing anymore, though. He's gotten in the 3 short months since this plan arose, it feels like he's gotten a lot more fluid in his scheduling, or maybe it's just since you made yourself part of this process. He did say he wants to see you do it, so I think we should make him do it just for that.
I know. Well, I determined on this one that I would do such a terrible job that they would just fire me. Is it working yet?
I don't know. Good question. Sebastian wants to see me do it. I would love to see me do it too, Sebastian. But I feel like I've got to like do a total Rocky montage of training before I can do anything.
That'd be awesome.
Wouldn't it be like nice if you could literally just play some nice like Joe Esposito music in the background and go out there and just in the length of that song, all of a sudden become a master of whatever the thing is.
Yes, it would.
I think that's the two things that Hollywood has screwed up in me is the notion that you have love at first sight and immediately it all is just easy and you know it on the day you make eye contact across a room. And the other one is that all you really need is a good music montage to really learn a skill.
Hollywood.
Curse you, Aqua Scum!
So if we bring this in, and then just scale it, we'll get sort of close.
That looks really good considering that thing is oblong.
All right, what do we look like?
Oh, it looks more bulgy on the ends, not so tapered.
Yeah, yeah, I'd need to cut this in half and. All right, I don't think we should drag everybody through that just right now.
Why?
Though.
That's why we're here, man. You should start stitching stuff together. And Tricky 2K is curious about your how it's going with the tablet. He has a tablet and he is afraid to ever use it with SketchUp.
Why? I don't know. Give me a little more context. I like using a tablet, but that's, some of us use a mouse that often use wrist starts, but that's why I like using it. The thing about it, a tablet, that you have to get really used to is the awkward navigation. At least to me, that's the biggest obstacle. So for me, that's part of the reason why I have such a convoluted sense of keyboard shortcuts, because I need my navigation right here. And that starts switching up keys, and then I switch up all the keys. So, but for me, this is second nature of just switching. And that's what you got used to, in my opinion. Other than that, it works well. I like it. I don't know. Does that badly answer the thought? You have to tell me, Jody.
I don't know. Maybe it's good right now. So, but your tablet is working this week. Last time we were here, something was glitching out, right?
That's true.
But it's
That
all
part's
better
true.
now. I think the trickiest thing, the main thing is like if I were to start trying to use a tablet, I'd be screwed because I rarely use it. But like literally, if you're typing a document in Microsoft Word, you're still using your tablet for navigation, right? I mean, that's an exaggeration, but you use it for interacting just with your interface, not even in just when drawing in 3D.
That's true. Well, and for those of us that use a tablet, that's part of the fun if you're sadistic, right? Because anybody who comes to use your computer, you don't have a mouse, or you tuck your, anybody who comes to use your computer can't do anything on it. So, uh, yeah, whether or not you find that fun or not.
Yeah, that's really all this is about.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun, just having fun. So I'm curious why Aaron's here if he's off working on podcasts too. I wonder if his guest showed up today. Is he doing one every day, or what
po-
exactly is that?
who? Aaron?
Aaron's podcasts. Do you know?
I don't know. I suspect. I mean, I know they like to get a little bit ahead of schedule, so it might be. All right, who's our friend
Maybe.
who's
Maybe.
modeling? Who's modeling this on their own? And how are they
Oh,
doing? Should we switch over to their
yeah. So
view?
no. Andy was doing it, but he was doing it. He started working off of that big, uh, you know, the footprint, and he modeled. He was doing extrusions, pulling everything up. After spending an hour on it, he realized that he was not modeling the same building, and he stopped. So he is not working on it right now.
Fine.
So Jeremy's curious what kind of computer you're working from here. It's just a MacBook Pro, right?
Um, yes, it's just an iMac, 2019 iMac.
So imagine if you had the M1. Oh my goodness.
What? I I don't know enough. Who's out there who's gonna geek out about that chip, and like how much better it is? Is it just so
I don't
unique
think
to Mac, or what?
it's only going to be unique to Mac. Apple made it. It's Apple's chip.
Yeah, but what
But
does
what that
that
means
mean?
is you can't run Windows on it. And it also, you've got to optimize your software for it, which we haven't done yet, haven't finished yet. So SketchUp is basically running in emulated mode on the M1 based Macs. So I was being facetious when I was saying it would be so much more amazing, because who knows? It's not even optimized for it yet.
Mm,
Colin ordered an M1 iMac.
of
I
course he
think
did.
the M1 iMac basically just looks like a gigantic iPad, which is amazing, especially since I can get it in a rainbow array of colors. But I already have my M1 MacBook Pro, so I'm good.
Well, and you can get a purple iPhone now, right? Like that's the big thing. That's it's available
You
in
know what?
purple
I already
now.
have a can of purple Rust-Oleum and a purple iPhone, so you can't tell me I couldn't have one before. Well, that sounds horrible.
I I think I am subconsciously avoiding trying to get these walls done, and just modeling some of the obvious stuff, copying it, because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to not drag everybody through. Like, I don't know. Was there anything on the forums that would, like, we could throw up an image that would actually be useful, or are we gonna go back to just kind of
Um,
guessing?
so far there is some various like illustrations, but there's not any good like close-up. Like the part you're kind of zooming around and looking at right now sort of reminds me of when we tried to do the Taj Mahal.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many more pictures for the Taj Mahal. But I mean, this looks really good. What is you're struggling with? Trying to figure out how
So
to.
if we look at our facade here, right? We've got a basic size, and on this side, um, we can basically just come in and say, well, I'm just going to guess at drawing in some of this, and guess at drawing in. Um, but that's all it's going to be, and what I'm worried about is less guessing. So let's just take this little facade and say, okay, this is an arch. There's a couple things. That amount of detail maybe not be critical, but let's just split this in half and start doing it. What I worry about is you right, you can model yourself into a corner where when we come back later to add details, it's not going to work very well. That's what I'm worried about. But oh well.
Well, you start doing it, and then whenever you realize it doesn't work as well, then you just swing it, and then you get artistic. That's Aaron's MO. When in doubt, apply textures.
Oh, that's definitely his MO. Aaron loves textures as much as I do. Oh yeah, for sure. We know this is true. Next time we do this, Jody,
Sure.
let's build something for your shop. Let's build something for your shop.
Nice. I don't have anything that is Cinco de Mayo related going on in my shop. So the pet project that Amy and I have been pursuing lately, though, is trying to find like a vintage Airstream, which apparently you can get for a not unrealistic price if you're willing to do a little bit of work. I always assumed that was for people that had a lot more money than me for such things, but you can get a vintage one for as much as a pop-up tent, which we've purchased 2 of at this point and keep getting rid of because they have pop-ups and we want something that's hard-sided. So the next time we should like totally renovate the interior of a vintage Airstream. That's my suggestion. Let's pivot right now and do that right now.
All right, give me an Airstream to start working with. This is what I'm talking about, where like I've got this and I'm gonna, bring some of this in, and it's not accurate to what's going on. It's not even accurate to like that should be the base of a building, and then we pull stuff out from there. All right, we're just gonna keep going though. Can we verb? Can we like Aaroning it? Can we just like?
Yeah, definitely. Just like what I say is we call it an iron-on, sort of like iron-on shirts and stuff, but it's iron-on model.
Oh, nice.
I just totally made that up just now. Just totally just riffing.
Iron-on model.
Andy said we need to learn you how to use Aaron's rotate technique to mirror stuff. But didn't Aaron start doing that after watching you do it? Wasn't that you that? Oh, okay.
No.
You had something that you were doing he didn't do.
When we did the transom, he did that rotate. But here's the thing. Okay, look, I get it. It's a cool technique. I could do something like this. I rotated it wrong. See, I messed it up. It is a really cool technique. I get that, but it's not at all encompassing. Maybe it is, and maybe I'm just too stubborn. Anyway.
Oh, I'm answering questions in chat that may or may not be aimed at me. There's whole conversations going on in here.
Well, I've just got this whole face broken up, and it's not working. And
well, keep going. You got it. You got this.
All right. Nope, we're backing up.
But those are supposed to be pillars, right? Are you going to round them up? You're just using this to.
Who, this or what?
Yeah. No. Is that a column?
No, that's exactly the problem, right? Like,
okay.
You're right. That's not. This doesn't meet well with what's actually going on.
I think your intentions are great with this model, but I think you're learning something that we bumped into with some of Aaron's projects as well, where you think, oh, this is a pretty decent mass, but then once you get in there, you realize that what makes this thing so amazing is all of the little details, the finer points that are in any given one of them is a kind of an afternoon project.
Definitely, and it would be challenging enough on its own, and then when you don't get the right reference for it, then you're in trouble. Um,
So, do you actively use Sketchfab for anything? I mean, is it?
no,
Oh, okay. You
this was
created a login hoping that.
yeah, this was the best reference I could find since we could jump all over. But we tried to download this model, but it's not available to download. It's available to embed,
That
but not to download.
that is a handy reference. It almost feels like cheating because it's a model that's already done, and you're making a model based on a model. You're orbiting around a model so that you can come over and orbit around in a different model to make the model of the thing. I don't know. I'm just making my head explode.
You know what? This is bringing me back to Yamadera, the Japanese temple, when we just started getting stuck in landscape mode, and you're sort of like, just bail out, move on to something else. I'm gonna try doing a few other things here. Before we do this corner, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but we are going to not make that sit in like that, because that's gonna
So,
cause us
Fred,
issues.
did you get the point cloud off of Sketchfab, or did you go over to Open Heritage?
Yeah.
Open Heritage,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah. Aaron said he's got to run, but he wanted to let you know that it's looking good. He didn't say great, I'll note. So yeah, screw you, buddy. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh no.
It's, I think one of the interesting things about like this is uh, there's a whole lot of, and this is probably a part that a lot of people appreciate. So maybe you don't need to get so hung up, Tyson, on not knowing what you're doing. Is watching you figure out how you're going to solve something is what's particularly useful, at least for me. I think for a lot of people.
Um,
So it's your problem. It's your SketchUp troubleshooting. Don't sell that short.
Thank you. Uh,
You can. There's plenty of other things you can sell yourself short on, but not that. Right?
yeah. There's part of me that says, that's great. I very much appreciate that sentiment. You are very kind, my friend. Um, you don't want to watch troubleshooting for 2 hours.
No, and you definitely don't want to watch stitching and like you know putting chips around on a circuit board. Also, you don't want to spend too much time with it looking like it's just a big block. You want it to start to look like something real soon now, Tyson. I'm just, no pressure, but
Oh,
real soon.
real soon. You got it. You got it.
Let's see. Oh, so Tyson, other Tyson, online Tyson, grab some. Okay, these are the details. I don't know if I see measurements yet though. Oh, he gave links for all the downloading all the bits that you already downloaded. So anybody out there that feels adventurous can go and grab that ginormous point cloud.
It's a beast.
Sorry, Keg. I'm kicking in a little PTSD for Keggy for mentioning the video card.
The modeling of the video card, or
Yeah, because it turned into a whole lot of him just taking this component, because the various pieces of a circuit board look pretty similar, and so you ended up with a whole lot of him just literally copying and pasting, arraying and rotating and copying and pasting and rotating, and it got a little tedious. Now we're done. Now we're done talking about that.
all right.
Carrying
Okay,
on.
good.
So what are you doing right now? Are you pushing? Is this the exterior border?
Yes. We're gonna try. Let me turn this down.
Uh, Actually, just pointed out the title of your document, which is, "Oh crap, it's going to crash any minute now," just because that's Murphy's law.
Okay, I'll save this. I. Let's talk about Milo Murphy's Law, the show. That's a fun show. Let's do anything that's not this. Um, let's
I have to
see.
say, when a follow me works just so, I'm a big fan of the follow me.
When it works just so. Let's hope it works just so. Oops. First of all, that might come in useful. Okay. Well, I mean, that helps. It might be a little bit bigger. Let's make it a little bit bigger.
There you go. That's a very, very Bob Ross kind of moment there.
How so?
I don't know, just a sort of muttering, make it a little bit bigger. Just all chill there. You need to grow out your hair, get a big old perm.
Oh man, too soon.
Sorry. I don't know if I want to let the world know about your perma past.
I
I
used to
have
have glorious hair. I'm not hiding that. And now it's thin and no good.
I think yours is thin. Whew.
That's a good call though. Let's just Bob Ross everything. I'm gonna start whispering. Now that's a nice follow me right there.
See,
You know,
that's what
we're
I
just
think.
bringing that
What
right
is the
around the building, right there,
so?
like
What
that.
is the what is the SketchUp equivalent of a fluffy little cloud?
You know, these are some fluffy little columns. You know, I think we're just gonna add that's what we're gonna do right here. Some fluffy little columns. How's that?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, Tyson.
All right.
See, Sebastian even said it's very calming. It's your take you to your happy place.
All right, we're gonna lean into that then. So that looks about right to me. Now you just do this however you want, whatever makes you happy. But this looks about right to me. So that's about what we're gonna do. We're gonna push that in. I don't know. It looks okay right there. And I feel.
We need to somehow incorporate the word ochre
Oh,
into
you're
it.
so right. Ah, that's some yellow ochre right there.
This is I like there's a point in a good live stream where you're just like, oh, this is just a bunch of boxes. This is so stupid. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, that looks kind of like a building. And we're getting to the, hey, that looks kind of like a building part. Transom wants to know where your pet squirrel is. Did Bob Ross have a pet squirrel? Did he really have a
Yeah.
pet squirrel? That's awesome.
He found a squirrel, and yeah, now please, my knowledge is a little sketchy, but yeah, no, he found a squirrel. He nursed it back to health, and it just sort of it became kind of a
It just
side
stayed.
character for a while. I think he let it go
Nice.
after he had 40 seasons or something, so it was only around for a few. But yeah, legitimate squirrel hanging around him
That's awesome.
because Bob Ross
I
is
feel like
that awesome.
I have not watched enough Bob Ross to fully appreciate. I'm a I'm a very casual Bob Roster. A Rastafarian, I guess you might call them. Huh? Huh?
Oh, I think we'll be able to use these same ones. I haven't given them any detail yet, but we will. We're just laying the foundation here. Don't worry yet. Don't worry now. We're just laying
Happy
the
little
foundation.
foundation.
That's right. We're just gonna put these columns in place. Now, when we add that yellow ochre in a little bit, you're gonna see those are gonna explode with liveliness, and they are going to just. I don't think he ever did that.
Carlos just got his 3D Connection Space Mouse today. Logs in here to see this, and what does he see but some dude using a tablet?
Don't you worry, Arlos. Don't you worry.
Carlos.
Carlos, sorry. Uh, Aaron will be back in good form very
Any day now.
shortly, and it'll be better than this, I'm sure. Not that that's a high bar, but
Yeah, I think that realistically, Aaron would probably not have picked this model. He would have gone, yeah, that's not happening in 2.5 hours.
he's got a little more experience. He's he's
He's
had
also the
his
guy that said he's also the guy that has said he is never modeling the Sydney Opera House.
yes, he is.
And I do recall hearing you not less than an hour ago saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to do that."
I still want to do it.
I think it's fair to do for the challenge, but I think it's going to make for a very stressful show.
Well, the thing about that, and again, so I messed up on this one in just in that, like, I I really thought I committed to it before I had explored well enough the references. I've said that I want to do the Sydney Opera House. I've looked into how to do the shells. I found a viable technique. I haven't committed to it yet though because of all of the stuff you're saying. So we'll see. We'll see if we actually do that.
If and when that bridge comes, we'll come to it.
Yeah.
Right? That's how that expression goes, I'm pretty sure. Sebastian does want to know why we're afraid of multi-section models. I think it's a valid question.
That's fair.
I wonder what the crowd, how many people would tune in? What if there's a to be continued at the end of one of these? I don't know. I like the idea of it. It sounds, on paper, it sounds really fun.
Well, I think the other thing that lends towards that is coming in with a lot of preparation and stuff already done and ready, and finishing something or just continuing. So I think that's viable completely as as an idea, something we should do some more of. Multi-session. What do you think would work well for that? Like, what? Throw out some ideas out there. I mean, we're always asking for ideas on what to model.
How about the Palacio de Bellas Artes?
You think anybody wants to sit through more of this? You're hilarious.
Well, I feel like part of your humming and hawing in this model is trying to figure out a way to do it as quickly as possible. If you could just do it at your own pace, you might be more willing to. And also, you'd be able to go and figure out what the heck you forgot to do between sessions. Sydney Opera House would be a good one.
I'll tell you, if we're gonna do this one again, and I wouldn't commit to it fully until I tried it. But I don't know. We'd have to do some configuring to hook up a different computer. But I would model on the point cloud. I think it would be interesting to model based on that point cloud for the whole time. That could be interesting if we wanted to try, something a little different.
Well, we'll talk it over with Mr. Dietzen, Mr. Making stuff. Oh, I missed the part back up above. Transom said he always marveled that the squirrel never got caught in Bob Ross's hair. Which, yeah, I think it's a valid one.
Yeah.
Bob had some. He is well coiffed. Some interesting. It's like a link to a YouTube video for this video. Like whenever I'm just looking at pictures, and the front picture of it is like this cartoony looking thing. Looks like something straight out of the animated version of the Beetlejuice cartoon. And I don't understand what that has to do with the building.
That's curious.
I'm sorry. Little tangent there.
Huh. No, by all means. Right? What else are we doing here? There is a lot more interest. I'm not going to do these. It's not going to happen. So we're going to make these straight. I think.
Yes,
I don't know.
I encourage you.
Try.
You pick the stuff that looks the funnest to model and do that. And then you fake it with the other stuff. Because I don't know how you're going to get that sort of swoopy dome on the sides.
Oh, yeah. Let's try that. I have an idea for that. Let's try it. This one. Well, first of all, let's see here. Now we're going to do the same thing we did with this other one, basically. Only let's make that unique. Oh, it's not even a component? Yes, it is. There it is. My nesting's all messed up. Alright, you tell me, Jody, if this looks remotely... So if we look at this, sort of swoops down and out.
Oh, that's looking pretty good so far.
All right, so if we take this,
John's curious how you like your vertical mouse. Do you get really bad repetitive stress in your wrist? Is that why you got it?
I have in the past, yes. And in fact, I'm jumping back. I have no way to leverage this with my tablet, so I'm gonna scrap the tablet for the rest of this one. Just bring this in. But yeah.
Look at you, just changing things up like that. So dynamic.
Whoa. I like this vertical mouse. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, if I were to really be, this one is the Logitech MX series, so it's a good one. I've used some others. For me personally, I always lean towards I wish they were bigger, just because I'm kind of a big guy, and I always wish they were heavier. But those are not the typical things you want to see in a mouse, so
I have a gaming mouse that I can literally like add, like it's got slots for putting in different weights, which I probably should switch in because for some reason this MX Master, like the Bluetooth keeps flaking out on me. So I just need to go back to something that's not trying to pretend to be wireless. Wireless.
Sometimes it's so surreal when you're like, let me pause, let me think about this, let me step back for a few moments and think about what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's neat
No
for
time
like
for it.
that one edge. This right here is reminding me of the whole Colosseum attempt because you can't. It's hard to wrap things around. It doesn't quite match up the way you expect it to when
No.
you do an oval.
Well, see, it's funny for you to call it that. What do you mean attempt? How well did that not work or work?
Uh, so I think when we tried to do a radial array, it like it didn't line up right. It's hard to get the spacing correctly for something like that. I mean, I think for an artistic representation, probably just doing it circular and then stretching it is kind of the way to go. But since we were trying to make all these different pieces, because he had componentized everything, each section, and you couldn't really create a section and then wrap that around in the way that you could if it was a circle.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we were stretching this and then having to restretch that and then restretch this, and it mostly looked like a okay. See, that looks fairly legit.
um, me. People who use Follow Me will know what this is about. How if you're trying to get it to match up to a 90-degree corner, your arc won't come in like that, and so you have this tiny little bit where it doesn't. So it's helpful to create a line along the axis right at the end of it. Let me. It's that little bit left over that we didn't get before. Okay. That looks weird so far, but we're still gonna see if it'll work. No, it's funny when Aaron's like, I'm not modeling, I wouldn't have modeled this building, or I'm not modeling this. I wouldn't model the Coliseum.
Right? We figure out all these different ways. Oh, Andy, you just taught Andy a new thing. Sweet. So next time, whenever he's trying to model the wrong building, he'll go slightly faster, maybe.
What? Oh,
Uh,
that arc
Andy's the
thing?
one that modeled, yeah, that arc thing you just did.
Oh,
He's the one that was he was the one that was modeling. He picked the wrong building and spent an hour doing the wrong thing. Oops.
thanks for trying though. And again, I think that's a building in Spain. So you didn't model the wrong thing, just a different one.
Nice. Thanks again, Bob.
Yeah.
I only say that from a place of love, Andy. It's not. I wouldn't pick on you if I didn't think you could handle it. Does that sound right? That sounds like such a
Sounds condescending or sounds.
or something. I don't know.
I don't know if I got this right. Oh, whatever. Okay, we're gonna see how well this works. Let's see what happens. We'll fix some of this stuff in a moment, but for now, we just need to see if it's gonna get us close enough. How does that work? Oh yeah. Okay. Okay, hold on. This is one of those times when inferencing with SketchUp is a little bit annoying. But anyway, I don't know. Kind of works. Yeah. We'll fix. Like I say, we'll fix some of. Get rid of some of this right now.
That actually that turned out a little better than I was expecting.
Well, happy
I
to
feel
hear it.
I feel like an ass now for doubting you in any way, shape, or form.
And you
And
should.
that, ladies and gentlemen, that is why Jody doesn't model for the world, because I'm very pedestrian in my skill set. Does that mean that I walk?
Something like that? Yeah, yeah.
I suppose so.
It's a little bit arched, and that allows that to be a bit higher, so we'll give it that much.
I wonder how they went about building that.
right? That's pretty cool. And each, I mean, if you, again, if you were to do it right, yeah, you'd have to go in and you'd have to draw. Like each of these is going to have its own geometry, own sort of unique geometry. Um, not hacked like we're doing it, but okay.
That looks legit.
We,
No, it is.
it
Yeah.
is
Are you going to try and
bigger.
make it come out? Yeah. Are you
So
going to try and make it come out to the little corners, or
let's see what we can do
just wing
to
it?
do. Let's try. Let's see. Why not? So we'll grab this. We'll copy that, and then we will kind of make this. Something like that. Alright, so I've got that. Let's move that aside. And let's copy this. The thing we're going to run into is, I want to intersect with model this, but that would mean I need this, to do this easily, I need this to be a solid form, and it's not going to be, it wasn't built in a way to make it easily like that, so we're just going to hack it anyway. So group that all together. Anyway, right, so
So, Transom's joking around about how they built this, saying they 3D printed it on site, but it does all of a sudden beg this question of like, so right now, the 3D printing a house is literally just like a gigantic FDM extruder, and so you're going to get pretty boring stuff. But I mean, at what point do we start to get some piece of this? Actually, I remember. I'm sorry, I'm on my own tangent. Whenever I was working on building my timber frame, my shop, the guy that was coming out and doing the class teaching us how to do it was lamenting that they have CNC machines now for cutting all the joint works on the ends, and this was 10 years ago, for cutting all the joint work on the end of your beams. So you don't really have to, as a timber framer, you don't have to be able to get in there and cut all that stuff. It actually, like, it's a gigantic robot that you just feed, whatever size beam you've got, and it creates all your mortises and tenons and various bits. And then all you've got to do is carry them to the job site and stick them together, which is bonkers.
that is who's our sketch 'em up friend who does all the timber framing?
Oh my gosh.
Moved overseas.
I don't remember. He's not over. Well, he used to be in the Northeast,
Yeah.
but I think his wife got some great opportunity in, I don't remember where it was. God, what was his name?
Anyway, yeah, it'd be interesting to get sort of, a take on that. I don't know. That's the that's always the question of machine versus hand, and how much soul, as some people would argue, like if you do something that the results are pretty much what you'd get if you spent weeks doing it by hand, does it still have a soul, as some people would say? If you did it by machine,
begs the question of, yeah, does it have a soul in any case?
I was showing.
So
What's that?
go ahead.
Oh
No,
no,
you
it
go.
just that video we were watching a few weeks back that was showing where a guy, he put in resin into some just really burled and beautiful hardwood, and then he took that and stuck it on a CNC, and he made a series of violins that were kind of like an homage to the Four Seasons, because he made them in different colors. Just absolutely beautiful. I don't know how they sound, but if you buy a cheap violin, it's going to be made out of less wood and be CNC'd. But if you make a beautiful custom violin out of legit the best wood, but you use CNC to help form a lot of it, I don't know. Some people would say sacrilege, and
So I feel like probably the people that say sacrilege, I think there's a group of people that want artisans to stay relevant as artisans, and so if all of a sudden you can automate even art, it feels like you're taking something away. At the same time, I think there's a lot of people that like the idea that technology can start to improve things, and so an artisan that maybe formerly made violins, maybe instead now they use technology to make even better, or to push the limits of what they could do before. Maybe that's really what needs to happen. But I think a craftsperson or a tradesman can definitely feel like they're being marginalized if technology is just replacing their job, which is, I think it's inevitable pretty much in every camp at this point, right? We're going to find a way to automate some portion of everybody's job.
definitely feels that way.
Now I'm going down a completely different train track, though, so I'll back off there.
Sorry. Let's see. What's his profile look like? Not like that, but something approximating.
Yeah, transom communist. Transoms common was the old handwork versus machine work, which art woodworkers have been arguing about for years. And it just makes me think of our whole fine woodworker versus not fine woodworker, right? Pocket hole guy versus the wood joints guy, right? Pocket holes is just a different kind of, not automation, but using removing the craftsmanship, if you will, of a product and just making it something you can stick together. And having
craftsmanship?
maybe, I don't know. I mean, definitely takes more work to create dovetails than it does to just pocket hole some corners together.
Oh yeah, for
Now,
sure.
having just
But-
built those drawers for the back of my truck, I definitely there is a place where pocket holes are much handier.
That gets into the question though, like we have this fun argument about, yeah, like first of all, application, to suggest that something that was made previously that didn't use pocket holes is craftsmanship, when it's just hacked, it's still a butt joint with some nails in it or something.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has ever called butt joint with nails in it craftsmanship, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Although they will say a home builder is a craftsman, and a home builder, I mean, that's what framed walls are. It's not like they're making, I mean, except in a timber frame, they're just nailing stuff together. Look at that. Now all of a sudden it looks more like a building. It's
Looks
funny how
more
just
like a
a bit
building.
of coping around the edge.
Thank goodness. Somebody ought to make this look more like a building. All right, some of this we're going to hack in. I don't know, Jody. Tell us your full theory and philosophy on pocket holes.
I don't know that I've got a full theory or any of that. I did just comment that the trick with pocket holes for me was always clamping it in such a way that as soon as I screw it together, it doesn't completely pull the joint apart in the wrong direction, because that's craftsmanship. Apparently, I can't not screw up my joint. As soon as I screw it together, and it's like, okay, we're just gonna go way over here now.
On that we agree so much.
So here is where the real snobbery comes in. Would you use pocket holes on hardwoods to create furniture? Do you feel more
Absolutely.
obligated to? Oh, okay, no, fine. You didn't even hesitate. Dang it. I feel like I would feel dirty doing that. Just like if I was using that to connect my walnut together to my maple or whatever.
Okay, so let's clarify. Just, what else we got? Yes, if you're using a lot of hardwood, um, but again, it depends on what you're doing. Like if you're building a table and you got stuff underneath that's not going to be seen, is it that much different? Like what? How do you think about using pocket holes versus using, say, a domino? You're still using a machine to cut a loose tenon. So it's, you might argue it's not integral joinery, but just because it's wood all the way through, you feel okay? Or what's your thoughts?
So, I mean, intellectually, in my head, what I would prefer to do is, clamp a piece of board down and literally just use hand tools, no machines, and use hand tools to like plane out grooves and actually create ways to connect all my things. There's something uh, philosophically appealing to that, or even tactily appealing to that. But realistically, whenever I go out there, often I just want to. It's having the thing done is what's more important to me than having the thing have uh, the perfect joint work. So yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll just kind of do whatever I end up feeling like doing, and somewhere in the middle of it, I'll just be like, I'm bored of this particular thing, and I'll change it up anyway. So and that just takes years of experience with my own self before I realize that that's my truest truth.
Know
I
thyself.
definitely, as Transom
So,
points out, hand tools can be a lot faster and quieter. And the other thing is, it's like I get to where, like, whenever I'm using a miter saw or a table saw, if I don't wear a mask, it gets up in my sinuses, and I end up getting. Luckily, for this last year, in this COVID era, I have not really had any cases of this happening, but I would get sinusitis. and that sucked. So I would rather make wood chips than sawdust.
There's like that argument as far as just what you enjoy doing. There's like no argument against that, right? Like if you actually enjoy that as your process, that's
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah, if you're not making a living at it, just do whatever thing. That's where I'm ultimately at now. Is I don't really care. You're not wrong for doing it your way. You're doing it your way because that's what's fun.
What are we gonna do here? Oops. I have I've been working on a table saw dovetail jig, and that's again one of these things that I've heard some people suggest, make the argument, even if it's less efficient and even if you don't need it for the strength, cutting or learning to cut dovetails by hand is just a good exercise for teaching or something like that, right? Like that sort of argument. And that just goes back to this idea of, what do you enjoy? I don't want to spend hours and hours learning to cut hand dovetails because I don't want to cut hand dovetails.
Well, but if you watch Rob Cosman, it once you learn how, I mean, he could do all the dovetails on a box faster than your table saw, I think, by hand.
Once I get it dialed in, I actually disagree. You
No, well,
could
you're
be
wrong.
right, but um, the difference in production, being able to just like run it, flip it, run it, flip it, run it, and then just put all your boards through, it's so
Well,
fast.
so yeah, so he could do a box probably faster than you could do, or as fast as you could do a box, but you
Yeah.
could probably do 10 boxes faster than he could do 10 boxes.
Yes. Which goes to how often I cut dovetails, which is not often.
I watched a video yesterday, or kind of skipped through because I didn't need the whole process. Somebody made he built his own hand plane for doing sliding dovetails, which was pretty awesome.
Really? Huh. I'll have to go check it out sometime. I'm not mentally picturing it.
I didn't quite get how it worked, and that's why I was watching the whole thing. I'm like, how's this going to work? A, a sliding dovetail is basically just a long, like a board lengthwise dovetail, or a dove or whatever.
Yeah.
So it cuts the grooves. It cuts the grooves on the male part of it. You still have to. It doesn't do the female part of it. Let's pivot and start carving all of the gargoyles.
Oh, good call. Good call.
So we're an hour and 40 minutes into this. The question is how far do you anticipate being able to go?
I think we should bail out at any time because it is not, in my opinion, going to get better because I'm just throwing sort of windows at it. And those are only semi accurate. I mean, again, there's a lot of detail that if we had the elevation, we could trace. and mirror and create fairly quickly within a reasonable time frame. But I don't know. I think we should bail out at some point soon. This one, we'll chalk this one up to heavy learning experience on what to choose. We did at least get sort of the notable roof elements put in there.
Yeah, I like how the roof worked. I feel like everything else is not feeling nearly as. Wait, sandbags around the bottom. Andy pointed out. What is the bottom? Is there something unique about the bottom of that?
Well, it has different levels, for one thing. See these large
interesting.
bricks?
So those are like, yeah, it's funny. It looks like a pile of sandbags though, totally.
Yeah, and this really cool multi-level, the way it sits on the site is really cool. And that, if we had a accurate site plan alone, could have spent some time, and that would have been interesting. There's so much interesting. I think this is just a really cool project, and really was not prepared well enough to pull it off. I don't know. Any so
anything
again,
particular everybody wants to?
yeah, anything in particular, or any questions, or anything related to this or not? Any suggestions for future model references? This one, anyone who's still hanging around with us, that is, how do we hand out social prizes to people who like stuck through it?
Stuck with us. We can just as everybody's leaving, we just walk by and do like a good game, high five thing.
That's right. I feel like anyone who's like, yeah, this is the equivalent of the mercy rule. Like, just, yeah. Let's not drag this one out anymore. This one. So, if there's any questions, any thoughts, this is a little shorter than some of them, but
DQ wants a point cloud tutorial, and Sebastian said, just keep doing these types. I think, you win some, you lose some. Aaron had bad days too, so, or poor model choices.
Yeah.
I do really like how you managed to finish the domes, though. Those are probably the most interesting parts, without getting too into the weeds.
And it just to be sure, let me call out that we do have point cloud tutorials on SketchUp Campus, learn.sketchup.com, to learn how to use the basics of Scan Essentials. But I want to do a Scan Essentials model in here sometime, so we will do that sometime. I want to try that. Whether it may not be this one, or maybe in a massive, self-flagellating way, we'll come back to this one. But probably it would be a better idea to do something different.
It's funny that this, as complicated as that bridge was, that this kind of turned out to be a little more. I think there's just so much to do in this one.
I still think, and I could absolutely be wrong, like we wouldn't have got to the details, but if we just had accurate elevations, we could have pushed this a lot farther than we got.
Yeah, that's true. If you had some numbers and had some good straight on shots for each thing you need at scale, nice big images.
We need to be able to load them into the model. This idea of jumping back and forth and being like, it looks something like this, and then you jump back, and that doesn't work very well. Not without taking a lot of time. We needed, with some elevations, I think this one could be viable. Still could be wrong though.
Okay. So if someone all of a sudden produces all of those necessary documents, then maybe we'll revisit this.
Well, I'm not. Nobody should feel any need to do so. Yeah, we'll chalk
Well, I
this
think it was
one
a
up
good
to a
effort,
bad
man.
decision. Bad decision. But for anybody who wants to, we do wish you a very happy Cinco de Mayo.
Oh yeah, you also didn't get the air conditioner units up top.
No,
That's
I sure
unfortunate.
didn't. That's nice. They made it into the scans, right?
The attention to detail is amazing.
Yeah. I think Friday is a Q&A session, so to hang out with Aaron. If you just want to come chat or see what questions people are asking, and that's probably all we got. I think that's good for
We'll call
now.
it Stick a Fork in It.
Stick a fork in it. I wish we didn't even have to post this one to YouTube, but I think that'll. Oh well.
Well, so we'll at least acknowledge that your dome work was pretty. You had some neat stuff going on there. So.
Well, thank you, Jody. Thanks everybody for sticking with us for a while.
Thanks, guys. See you Friday.
See you later.